We are here with JP Too Much St. Louis. I'm going to start right off the bat. Where'd you get the nickname Too Much?
That's a nickname that I got just from old teammates, and I would fight people, and I'd kind of just overwhelm them with whatever strikes, and they would just say, "Hey, you're too much for them." And then it also kind of came from my normal everyday personality, where it's like whether it's like me just being funny or telling too many jokes and pushing the line, people would be like, "Man, you're just too much." So it kind of just it's a life nickname and also a fight nickname, so it works out pretty well.
I'd align myself with that. I'm a little bit too much sometimes, so I can definitely relate to that. I've been trying to work on my patience and just making the right moves to just get better with that, because I'm very impatient. How are you when it comes to patience?
I can be extremely patient, and then I can also be very bad when it comes to patience. It honestly depends on what the situation is. Like, I would say the worst type of impatience you can get out of me is when I'm super hungry, honestly during cutting weight time, and I just got home from finishing a workout and I want to eat and something's blocking me from getting there. I start getting extremely upset, and that's about it. I mean, even if I'm not cutting weight, if I'm hungry after a long day of work and training, I don't want to hear anything until I get my meal.
Yeah, I want to hear the fridge door, and that's about it, right?
Yeah. It's like, right. Don't talk to me.
All right. Well, your fight is a couple days away. As a matter of fact, you guys are getting down on Friday. How are your weight cuts? I noticed that you're not the biggest welterweight out there.
Yeah, my weight cuts are decent, I would say. They're not anything that I would go... It's not something that I like doing, but it's something that I can manage. I'm not the biggest per se, but I'm definitely extremely, dense, and all the muscle, just kind of packs on. And what a lot of people don't really realize is I carry a lot of weight in my legs, and people can't really see that until fight night and my shorts get hiked up. It's like my legs are huge. I'm just I'm built like an Xbox, as my friends would say. So
well, I've never heard that shit before, but all right.
Yeah, it's like a fridge. I'm only 5'10", but I can get up there. So, and I'm never really fat. Even if I'm hitting 200 plus, I'm still not fat. I still have abs, so I'm a pretty stocky and strong dude. Almost I'm a little bit taller than Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, okay.
And we have a similar body type.
Yeah, he's a thick dude as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he catches a lot of shit for that. So I'd say in your fights, because I've seen you fight when you fought for the LFA, you don't seem to have that same issue that everybody pushes on to Tyron. That, he gets the lactic acid building up in his arms. You don't really carry that. So is it a muscle thing, or is it just a fighter thing?
Well, one thing about the Tyron thing, we've seen him fight 5 rounds. His fight with Damian Maia was 5. His fights with Wonder Boy, those were 5 rounds, and I feel like he's gotten a lot of flack for his, in quotations, people say bad cardio, but he was always there in those fights. It's fights get tiring, as we know.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I can say is because Tyron is he's a technical striker, which I think a lot of people don't give him credit for because he's so explosive.
Agreed.
But sometimes when you explode, it just can take a little bit out. But he's a very powerful striker. That's just his style. And we've seen him. He dropped Wonder Boy I think it was the 4th round where he dropped Wonder Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept up that pace with Damian Maia. And Damian Maia was trying. How many takedowns was it? It was 23, and he stuffed all of them.
Damn.
It was something like that. And I feel like that's gotta say it's like I didn't watch all too many of his earlier fights to where, all those gassing things came out, but when he came over to Rufous Sport and all his fights through there, it's like he had a pretty good tank on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets a lot of criticism from a lot of people for some reason, which I think is kind of unfair because he had a pretty impressive run, but I think like one of the differences between like just a guy with a similar body type with Tyron and me is just that I don't fight the same necessarily. It's like I still have a lot of explosion,
mm-hmm.
but I'm also still trying to figure it all out because I pretty much started my career over at Rufous Sport. It's like I had my amateur fights in Virginia, but a lot of my career has been under Rufous Sport where they actually tried to get me out of always trying to be explosive and just trying to just blast people with one shot. And that's something that has helped me out a lot, and I know it's helped Tyron out a lot as well, where it's like now he can pick punches, pick people apart, jab, right hand, and he doesn't get tired. It's like they call it being in like fighting in third gear,
mm-hmm.
they would say, where we don't have to rev ourselves up, we just can coast in third gear and still keep the explosion. And if needed, we can put it up to fifth real quick to pop one off and then go back to third.
Well, and let's talk about Rufous Sport since you brought it up. I mean, you're training with some killers over there. You got Biggie Rhodes, who just came back and got a win over in LFA. You train with Tyron. You train. I mean, there's a bunch of fucking killers over there. And then the boy, the Pettis, Sergio, he just got a win.
Yeah, so, he faded that dude up. That was very impressive. He made it look easy.
So, talk to me about the atmosphere at Rufous Sport, because that is like one of the better gyms out there, known for breeding champions.
Atmosphere at Rufous Sport is great. I actually live with Biggie Rhodes, Mike Biggie Rhodes.
That's what's up.
He's been my roommate for 3 years now, and Gerald Mearshart.
Another stud.
I was living with him pretty much 2 months after I moved here, or maybe a month and a half, something like that, because I actually didn't have a place to stay. I kind of just moved up here and I had nothing planned. I went to the gym first, and then after I made a post. I was like, hey, does anyone have like a room I can stay in or something like that? Like that, my main goal was just getting to the gym, and he ended up later on offering me a spot in his house if I wanted to live there. I mean, it worked out for him, but if he didn't like me, he wouldn't have offered it either. Nobody wants to live with someone they don't like. So, being around him, definitely would say it was like Mike Biggie Rose and Gerald Mearshart. Those two guys, they've kind of taken me under their wing. They've showed me a lot in terms of just like the MMA game, fight IQ, striking, submissions, and everything about MMA. So I'm lucky to have them. I also have Bilal Muhammad, another beast that I train with on a regular basis. The dude's pressure is ridiculous, and the amount of strikes he throws, crazy number. He's a cardio freak. Paul Felder is another guy. I'm always getting plenty rounds with him when he comes up. So I'm getting pushed by those guys. One of my main training partners, Craig Eckelberg, and Brendan Allen.
Yes,
and
sir.
then our new teammate, well, he's been there for a year and a half, Jordan Newman, 185er in Bellator. I think 2-time NCAA champ. Super solid guy.
Damn.
I'm getting in.
Yeah, you're getting some good work over there, Rufus.
Yeah, and Lenny Rufati as well. Another tough 170, fighting out in Ring of Combat. So I'm always getting tough goes, and like we like to say in Rufous Sport, we're not a big team essentially, but everybody in that room is good, and you're never gonna get an easy round. It's all tough rounds.
Yeah, based on that laundry list of killers, I doubt you have an easy day at the office.
No, not at all. But it's definitely made me a lot tougher, so I'm appreciative of it.
Well, I think it's going to speak volumes the further you get into your career. You stumbled early on a little bit, but now we're starting to pick up momentum. You're 2-0 in LFA, and they're 170-pound division, which is, one of the better divisions just in MMA, worldwide, I'd say. It's one of the tougher divisions, one of the most exciting divisions. It's a marquee division,
Yeah.
So, what are the goals and aspirations for your MMA career? The question ended there. I'm sorry.
Okay. Really, the goal is. Sorry, had to burp.
That's okay. You can hear the thunder really clearly on this microphone. Holy shit.
But, I mean, my goal really has been just always work to get better. And that's something that I talk about quite often. I mean, obviously, it's like you want to get to the UFC. You want to be able to have a chance to get that belt. That's what we're all doing this for. We want to become champs. It's like nobody's really out here doing something to say, I want to be mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole thing is just, I know that if I constantly keep coming to the gym, stay mentally focused, keep working on my holes, work on the things that I'm good at, and just become a better fighter all around, increase my fight IQ, everything that I want out of MMA is going to come to me. And it's like, I do think that I'm a guy who is lucky to have talent, but as we know, if you're not working hard, your talent means nothing. And
I couldn't agree
I don't ever want to be considered as like, this guy was a prospect, but he didn't live up to the potential. It's like, I just want to be that guy. It's like constantly, you see me in one fight, I do well. Next fight, I'm doing even better. It's like, did this kid get better in 3 months? And that's how I want to be. I just want to keep on improving, and it's hard, but it pays off, So that's always been my goal, just to keep getting better. I know I'll get to the UFC if I keep getting better and keep working on things. Now, obviously, I got to get my wins, and luckily I do have all finishes. So I think that's something that the more I fight and the more finishes I get, someone's going to take notice of it. And that's what people do want to see. They want to see finishes. And since even as an amateur, it's like all my wins in MMA are by finishes. I've never had a decision in MMA. And even if the day comes that I do have a decision, I guarantee it's going to be an exciting fight. So that's really just...
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That was it, really.
Okay, so we're taking turns. All right. Well, I think that the work that you're putting in and the quality of people just in that training room, I don't think that Rufous and the guys are going to put you in a cage where you can't go 15, 25 minutes if need be. I just don't see that as an option for that gym. So, I mean, if you did going the decision, I don't think it's the end of the world. But you're right. I mean, looking up and down your record, you have one decision on your career. One decision.
Yeah.
And it didn't go your way, but it was your second pro fight.
Yeah, it was my second pro fight against a guy who had been training at Rufous Sport for a majority of his career.
Oh, shit.
I think he had just recently left, and by the time when I got to Rufous Sport, I still didn't know much. Even in that fight, there was a lot of moments where I could have won, or like I was in a great position to get the dub, but because I didn't have the knowledge that I needed in the fight IQ, it slipped away from me. And Tim Hiley's a tough dude, and he was able to outwork me in positions and end up walking away with the decision. But it was a good fight, and I guess that fight, some people started taking notice of me. They're like, this is only his second fight, and he was able to go all that way with Tim Hiley. And that's what people were saying to me. I didn't really think much of it. I was like, dude, I lost. There's no compliments in losing. But it's like, I guess some people took notice after that fight.
Well, I mean, really, when you look at it, I mean, his only loss is to Brendan Allen. So it's not like you lost to a chump. Brendan Allen is as solid as they come. So, and that's another training partner of yours. So that's good shit there. Now, that's why I was asking about patience, because early on in your career, you see it. Like, there's a lack of patience. You progress into the career. We stumble a little bit, but it sounds like we're starting to find what's working, like you're finding your stride. What do you attribute that to?
I would definitely attribute that to my coaches, Scott Cushman, Duke Rufus, and they're always talking to me about the fight game and just, I hit pads with Cush a lot, and then we also have Joe Nichols, who I hit pads with sometimes as well. They're always saying it's like, you got like the talent, you got the explosiveness, you can hit hard, but it's like you get too frantic, and they were working on me being more methodical and just being smarter, not always trying to go guns blazing, switch it up, be okay with getting hit at and returning, but in a smart way, not, oh, I got hit, time to just blast one from the cheap seats. And that's the thing that I had to work on myself. And another thing that I started working on is just other aspects of the game. Before I didn't have any type of clinch game. I didn't have a wrestling game. I could take someone down, I'm a strong guy, so it's like I can get double underhooks or blast a takedown, but I didn't really understand wrestling. So after my last 2 losses last year, after I took some time off, I said, you know what, I'm going to really start forcing myself to wrestle. I'm going to force myself to clinch. I'm going to become an all-around fighter. I'm not going to just be a guy who strikes and then someone tries to shoot a takedown and I submit them. I'm going to be a guy who can strike, can force you on the cage, beat you up there, take you down, beat you up on the ground, and then go and submit you as well. And those are things that I've been working on, and just also being more patient and just having a higher fight IQ. Just because someone strikes at me doesn't mean I have to strike immediately in the beginning of the fight. I can parry it, frustrate them, pop them with a jab, things like that. Just working on trying to get myself to the next level before I actually get to the next level.
I gotcha. It's fighting in the moment. They say live in the moment. You need to fight in the moment.
Yep.
I think somebody needs to patent or trademark that shit. So let's talk about your opponent here for a second. Scott Writz. Okay, he's 2-1. It looks like here. What does Scott Writz bring to the table that we need to keep an eye on here for this fight?
Think he is a tough southpaw. I see that he's got some pretty solid takedown defense. He's got a chin on him, and he just stays in your face. So that's a guy that I feel like can bring the best out of me. He's going to be in my face. He's not going to be scared of what I'm throwing. I'm going to have to make him scared. Obviously, I want to win this fight, and I got to go and hit him, but I'm going to have to be smart because it seems like he's got a little bit of power to him as well.
Okay.
He's a little bit taller, has some reach, but I fought tall, big giants at 70, and I'm really not worried about someone being taller than me. It's like I can close that distance pretty quick, and I can fight a little longer than people might think. So I'm looking for a pretty good fight, all-around tough guy from the Midwest. All the Midwest guys are pretty tough. So just looking forward to getting in there with a tough guy and then getting my hand raised.
Okay, well, if we get our hand raised on Friday night, that puts you at 3-0 with the LFA in their welterweight division. Is there a name at the end of your tongue? Should you get the W here?
To be honest, no. I have no names necessarily. I'd have to look up like who's at 170, who's the top guys. It's like I remember the people who fight because I always try to watch the LFA cards, especially if there's 170s on there, just because it's like, hey, I could end up fighting that guy.
Yeah.
But my whole thing is, I realize that I do better when I'm not worrying about other people, just worrying about myself, worrying about my own career, and I'll get the matchups. My manager, Jeremy Bjornberg, he does a good job just progressing me up along, giving me tough fights, and making sure it's like, hey, you got a tough guy, make sure you're putting in the work, go and get this win. And I get my hand raised on Friday night. The only thing I'm really going to be thinking about is getting like a double cheeseburger, onion rings, and french fries. And then after that, I'll talk to my manager and be like, hey, who's next for me?
Okay. Where's the cheeseburger coming from?
Probably one of the places in the Mystic Lake Casino.
You're not even gonna fucking wait. You're just gonna go find the first place that says burger and gorge.
Pretty fucking much, man. It's cheeseburgers after fights. It's what I love. I go and throw the onion rings on the cheeseburger,
Hell
barbecue
yeah.
sauce, French fries, mozzarella sticks. But right now, I'm thinking about getting my hand raised and eating the food after a victory. Food always tastes good, but it tastes way better after you get your hand raised.
Oh, hell yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's funny because a lot of fighters, like, that's their go-to, is a cheeseburger right after they're done fighting. So it's actually, like, kind of mind-blowing how many fighters just go straight to the double cheeseburger. And it's never just a cheeseburger. It's always a double. Why is that?
Because we're fat, man. I mean, honestly, it's like getting nerdy about it. Probably just the reason why we want a double cheeseburger is because you get the protein, you get the fats, you get the sodium, and the carbs. And I think that's like everything that we kind of crave. We always crave what isn't really great for us. So
I'm not a fighter currently, and I still crave the double cheeseburger. So.
And it's the American classic, man.
True.
It's just one of those things. It's like sometimes red meat bothers my stomach and irritates it, but it's like I don't give a fuck. I'm eating this.
Oh man, that's good shit. That's good shit, and I like how you broke it down. That's good shit. That's some high burger IQ there.
Oh yeah, I watch a lot of food documentaries. I love cooking myself, actually.
Oh shit. Okay, so you cook. What's your best dish you can make?
Everything, man.
Oh,
I hate to sound cocky, but I think my best dishes. One easy one is one that I cook all the time: stir fry.
Okay.
But I also think that being a dude from the South, Haitian American, but grew up around a lot of African American soul food is my thing. Love making mac and cheese, fried chicken, cornbread, all those, man. I will throw down on some extremely unhealthy food. I love it.
It's funny that you mentioned mac and cheese because I am a horrible fucking cook, and outside the box, look, I could get the macaroni and cheese in the box and fuck it up.
The craft?
I follow the directions verbatim and still find a way to mess it up, man. So you might have to start a cooking show, get a YouTube page together so that I can learn how to cook, and especially if I can learn to cook some Haitian food, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I've been experimenting with more Haitian food. It's similar to Jamaican food in a sense, just that Caribbean feel. I mean, a lot of Latin Americans and then Caribbeans, we kind of eat the same stuff, just different spices or different way about going about it. But Haitian food, that just hits the soul. It's like I make it, it tastes good, but it'll never taste like my mom's. It'll never taste like my grandma's or my auntie's. It's just like they throw extra love in it, and I don't have that. Maybe it's when I feel like things taste better when other people cook it for you.
Yeah, I'd say so. Things taste way better when other people cook for me. I'd probably be dead if I had to cook for myself. So, yeah. But let's stop talking about food because we still have the rest of the weight cut in front of us and the fight. We can eat afterwards. So, I want to thank you for coming on with, just me. Sorry, the co-host is busy with school. So, let's, how do you finish Rritz, and in what round?
To be honest, I think the finish can come any way just because of how versatile I am. It's like it can be strikes, it can be it can be strikes or it can be a submission. But I'm thinking it would be, second or possibly a third round just because the guy's tough. I don't want to go and gas myself out trying to finish him in the first round. I mean, I usually don't, but sometimes with tough guys, you want to get them out of there as quick as possible. But that's also a very bad way because we're both two tough guys. It's going to end up a slugfest if we just end up trying to finish each other in the first round. I always prefer a first round finish, but
Absolutely.
I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to let him set himself up for it.
I'll tell you what. I wish that I could have interviewed you a couple years ago when you were earlier in your career, just to see the growth. Because the way you're talking about this fight, which is your 9th fight, right? So we're still under 10 fights professionally. It's you're speaking like a veteran. You're breaking things down like a veteran. So it'd be pretty like cool to see like the contrast of early too much versus today's too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely early too much would not have been able to break things down as easily or even be as comfortable as I am. I would definitely give the credit for that to all my teammates, but definitely Mike Biggie Rose and Gerald Mearshart. They've spent a lot of time explaining things to me and breaking things down.
Mm-hmm.
But then also the coaching that we have at Rufous Sport is just, I feel like there's a lot of great gyms out there, but the level of coaching that we get is at such a high level that anybody who's paying attention to what they're saying could go and become an analyst. We can break down fights. Duke sends us fights all the time. He talks about it in the practice. He posts it in the fight team page, and they're always bringing up other fighters. So it's like we have to stay up to date with what's going on in order to figure out what's happening. So after being around for 4 years, I've picked up a lot and I've gotten a lot smarter. Before I was just kind of a knucklehead fighter, and now I feel like I'm starting to find my stride and become a little bit more of a tactical, very aggressive but tactical fighter.
Well, like I said, it would just be really cool to see. And I'd imagine that earlier JP would have had a couple extra burgers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. I was not as disciplined back then as I am now. I've gotten a lot better.
Well, like I said, you can really hear like the growth from everything that you explained to me how you were before versus what I'm hearing now. You're going up before my very eyes.
Yeah, it's just becoming a student of the game. Just trying to. That's something that Biggie talks about a lot. Being a student of the game, learning and just paying attention and just becoming an all-around better fighter. And I say his name a lot and Gerald's name just because I live with them, and those are the guys I was getting a crazy amount of rounds with. But even guys like Bilal Muhammad, Paul, Coach Duke Rufus, Scott Cushman, all those guys, they're breaking stuff down for me. Even Craig Eckelberg, he's another guy. He's a coach at the gym as well, and he's able to break stuff down. And he's a good coach, just gives you good ideas. So it's one of those things. I've just been a sponge and just trying to learn as much as I can from all the guys who've been in the game longer or have been wrestling for a long time. Even Brendan. Brendan is younger than me, but he's been training longer than I have.
Yeah, dude's a stud.
Yeah, he's I think since he was 13 or something.
Yeah.
It's he's been training. And it's dude, hey, you got me beat in terms of how long you've been training. So and then Jared Gordon, he's another guy, great ground and pound fighter. Just a rough, New York City type dude, and
really good guy too.
Yeah, he is. I love him, and he breaks stuff down with ground and pound so well. It's every time he's talking to people and showing stuff, I may not be right there next to him, but I'm always watching. That's one of the things. I'm always watching, and I always say it's I try to steal people's moves, and then I'll use the move that you just showed me on you the very next round. It doesn't matter. It's I will steal everything from everybody.
Well, that's how you grow. It's learning from not just doing, but also watching. So definitely, I'd be stealing all kinds of shit. So JP can be followed at JP_too_much, and is that for both Instagram and Twitter?
Yep, that is for both Instagram and my Twitter and my Facebook page, JP Too Much St. Louis. you can find me on there. Or if you want to send me a friend request to my personal page, you can. There's no guarantee that I'll accept it, but you can definitely follow the fighter page just because that'll be more fighter related.
Yeah, so if the fans want to check you out, that's where they can find you. Again, dude, I want to thank you for the time. This turned into what was supposed to be a quick one. We turned a quickie into a longie. I don't know if that's a thing, but we went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, just flowed well, so it was nice and easy.
Well, look, you made this thing a lot of fun. You were really easy to talk to. I think that people are going to hear this and they're going to love you. Before I let you go, I want to give you as long as you want, and you've been doing it the whole damn interview, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you anyway to do your shout-out. So if you got, sponsors, training partners, coaches, significant other, take as long as you want. The floor is yours, my man. Go ahead.
First and foremost, I'd like to give a shout-out to my parents. They are the ones that instilled hard work in me, and even though they do not like me fighting, they wish I would just go to doing IT stuff like I'm currently doing. But I'm still going to keep fighting, but everything that they've done for me I feel like it's prepared me for what I'm doing now. So a big shout out to them.
Dope.
Big shout out to my family members, my friends that always support me. My girlfriend, Ella Revelo, she supports me all the time. Days where I wouldn't feel like training, sometimes she'd be like, you still have work to do, or if I'm doubting myself, she's giving me the support that necessarily you need. It's like years ago, I'd never say you need support from anybody, but as I've gotten older, it's like, nah, you need it sometimes. So shout out to them. Shout out to my podcast crew, Spicy Ramen Podcast. It's a new podcast that just came out.
Oh, that's
me
what's
and
up.
some dudes. Yeah, we're big anime lovers, so we just go there, talk about anime, spreading love.
Well, shit. Go ahead and drop the. Do you guys have like your own Instagram, Twitter, and all that shit for your podcast?
Yeah, we do. It's the Spicy Ramen Podcast. You can follow it. Just type it in on Instagram, just like that. Spicy Ramen Podcast. You'll find it. We got a Twitter, Instagram, and a Facebook page. So anybody listening, go like. If you would like to like it as well, that'd be appreciated.
Oh shit! After we get off here, you got me, bro. You got me.
And let's see. I already gave a shout out to all my teammates. I mean, I gave a shout out to the teammates that I train with on a regular basis, but I'd also like to just give a shout out to everybody on the team. We're constantly in there grinding. They inspire me to work harder. Hopefully, if there's anything my dumbass does, it can inspire them as well. Just coaches, Duke Rufus, Scott Cushman, Joe Nichols, Daniel Wanderley. Shout out to all of them. They're all helping everybody at the gym. I get rounds with on a regular basis, whether it be the normal kickboxing classes with normal students who aren't trying to be professional fighters, or just the normal everyday people in jiu-jitsu class. You don't get any better without help from other people. So shout out to everybody.
That's what's up, man. You like spreading the love, and I dig that. You give everybody credit because it takes how do they say it takes a town to raise a kid or something like that? So
yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like a lot of people they feel like they got somewhere by themselves, so they don't want to show credit to other people. That's something that I try to force myself to do. Just make sure everybody who had a part in something gets a little bit of recognition.
That's what's up, man.
If I forget, I forget, but I always let them know, it's like, thank you. And just being grateful and showing gratitude, that's something that my teammate Lenny Rufati kind of reminded me of, that it's actually very good to be grateful. And when you're grateful, you don't take things for granted, and I feel like I work a little bit harder just because I have that gratitude. So
well, shit, dude. Fucking great interview. We got to do this again. You're a lot of fun. Again, you got to start a cooking podcast. You talk about spicy ramen. Maybe we can do like some real spicy ramen or something. But
yeah.
Again, JP can be followed at JP_too much. He fights Scott Writz at LFA 77 this Friday, welterweight affair, and he's looking to make it 3-0 in the organization. Again, dude, thanks for the time. We're going to do this again, man, because this was a lot of fun. And maybe next time we can get the co-host on.
Yeah, that would be fun. I appreciate you giving me the chance to talk a little bit and let the fans know a little bit more about me.
Absolutely. That's why I do this thing. I do this thing, as much for our show, but it's more about, like, the fucking fighters, man. Because without you guys, I don't have this. You know what I mean? So, and I get, the UFC fighters and the Bellator fighters and yada yada. I like these LFAs and these RUFs and these WFFs, the smaller organizations. You know what I mean? I like getting those kind of stories out. So hopefully everybody gets through this whole thing, because it is very long, but they're going to hear your story, and it's going to be good, man.
Hopefully they listen to it, but I try to just be myself, and it seems that that's entertaining to some people, or just genuine. I always say it's like I'm 100% me at all times. What you get is what you get. I'm always consistent. I've tried to be that way. I've always tried to be that way since I was a little kid. I don't try to hide anything. If you don't like me, you don't like me. If you do like me, you might like me a lot, just because 100% myself.
He's genuine. He's too much.
That too.
All right, dude. Again, thanks for the time, and we'll be watching you on Friday, and we'll rendezvous after the win, and cheeseburgers.
Yes, cheeseburgers and onion rings.
Oh.
And my fat ass will probably add extra order of fries and wings to it.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm hungry. I gotta go, man.
I'm hungry too. I can't wait till Thursday.
All right. Well, safe luck on the weight cut, and let's rendezvous after the win. All right.
All right. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
All right. Take it easy. Too much.
All right, take it easy.